Hey, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's Liz, and I'm just doing a bit of a video series on my weekly life lessons. I do a bit of a journal exercise every weekend or whenever I can, reflecting on a life lesson that I've had for the week. And I do that every week. And I thought that as often as I can, I might do a video talking about my weekly life lesson wherever I can. My uploads are a little bit sporadic because my life's really hectic, but I still, when I feel called to, I thought I would share my thoughts for the week. So, this week's video is courtesy of a wonderful Instagram video that I saw recently by an account called Mollified. It's a wonderful account and it's all about her, like just a very authentic expression of her thoughts and her life and reflections about her growth. And she had this wonderful, very vulnerable video talking about masking, this concept of masking, if you've heard of masking before. So, essentially, my understanding of masking, and do your own research about this, but my understanding and lived experience of what masking is when I think she was talking about it from a neurodivergent perspective, but and possibly I am neurodivergent too. I'm not diagnosed in any way, but I still strongly related to this phrase from a mental health perspective as well. I think a lot of us do this regardless if we identify with being neurodivergent or not. And it's this concept where essentially we put on a mask, so to speak. Like when we're in social settings, when we're in the presence of another human being, we kind of have to not necessarily pretend, like sometimes it can feel like pretending, but it's like we have to hide certain parts of ourselves, that we grab certain parts of ourselves that we deem to be more socially acceptable and appropriate, and we put that to the forefront of our personality and the way that we engage and connect with people, and we push other parts of us away that we think or that we judge or that the world's made us feel like is not appropriate. No, they're going to think I'm weird. No, I'm going to be too much. Has anyone else felt like they're too much all the time? I certainly have. So in order to be, because as human beings, we are naturally, we want to connect with people, even when we think that we don't. We deep down we do. We all need love, and we need connection to survive. We've evolved to be creatures that have community to survive. So to bond with people, we have to be quote unquote likable. And that means we have to hide parts of ourselves that we think will not be as likable and therefore get in the way of us making connections with people. And that makes sense to a certain extent, but of course, it's pretty harmful as well. If we continuously hide who we really are, it means that we'll never really connect with people who truly get us and accept us and love us for our real selves. I feel like love always feels really hollow when you've had a connection with someone, whether it's romantic or platonic or people at work or whatever it is. When masking gets involved in those relationships, and I mean, like, we all mask to a certain extent with everybody, but what I'm talking about, this unhealthy level, is where you're like literally masking with someone like all the time, like the real vulnerable weird version of you, the true version of you, doesn't really show itself at all. You're almost constantly hiding. I know I've felt like that before as well. So that constant hiding, and what happens is you're almost like watching that person love outside of you. Like they're loving this other person, this projected masked version of you. They love that person, but the real you doesn't get loved at all. So like you find yourself, I don't know if you can relate to this, but you find yourself in scenarios where you're surrounded by people and yet you've never felt so lonely in your life because no one's connecting to the real you. No one loves the real you. So anyway, so talking about masking, she made me really think about the ways that I have masked before. And you might see on my channel, I've done a few videos of like doing solo road trips, and I fell in love with them. I love solo road trips. So if you haven't seen my videos before, I've gone on a couple of weeks at a time solo road trips where I converted my car into like a little micro camper, put a little bed in the back, and I just gallivanted around Australia for a couple of weeks at a time using my annual leave, essentially. My longest trip I've done was almost 3 weeks. And yeah, I was driving around the Australian outback, having the best time of my whole life. And I've thought a lot about that. Like, I knew that it was transformational and I knew that it was the best time I've ever had in my whole life. But I think Mollified's, if I've pronounced her channel name correctly, I've just realized, I'm like, was it Mollified or Mollied? Anyway, um, her video helped me reflect on why I found that trip so transformational. And the reason was, I think, like, yeah, there were other aspects that were transformational. It was amazing to be just this, to tap into this adventurous spirit that I have. I realized I'm an adventurous person. I'm a Sagittarius, so maybe that should have been obvious. I'm not really into astrology, but apparently I'm a classic Sagittarius. And I'm like, that's starting to make a bit of sense now. So it certainly was that. I mean, the Australian outback is just the most spectacularly beautiful place in the world to see. Like, it's just, you've got to see it. Hey, you really have to see it. It's up there. So it was all of those things. But you know what I think the main thing was? I felt so myself on that trip because I was by myself and I didn't mask the whole time. I was 3 weeks of no masking the entire time. And I think it was just like the relief in my body not having to mask the whole time. I had so much more energy because I wasn't masking all the time. And of course, I didn't know that at the time, but that's what it was. But watching her video made me realize, oh my God, I think that's what it was. I literally didn't mask like a single moment of that whole time because, yeah, I interacted with other people, but it was like randoms at campsites, you know? So I didn't really stay in caravan parks. I mainly went to like paid campgrounds and stuff like that. And people were friendly and nice, but you talk to them for like a little while. But there was no need to mask. I didn't feel the need to mask, and I've been getting more comfortable talking to strangers over time. It takes a lot of practice, but I've gotten to the point where, yeah, if I know that I'm not going to see someone again, like I don't feel the need to mask while I'm camping and out and about the way that I do in my daily life. So I wasn't masking when I saw people, and I definitely wasn't masking while I was by myself, right? And it made me realize, like, that's why I love it so much. And because I found it such a relief to my nervous system to not mask, I came back changed. You know, I know that probably sounds a little bit dramatic, but I definitely came back from that changed. It was, again, this was all subconscious. I didn't know that's what was really going on. But I got to the point where I, on some level, I knew that not masking felt like such a relief that when I've got back to my normal life now, I've not been masking nearly as much anymore. It's almost been like magic. It felt so good to not do it that I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. And I know, like, it's not a magic wand. Like, it's not as easy as like, I don't want to do it, so now I just magically don't do it anymore. It's taken a lot of work to get to the point where I can, like a lot of therapy, like paid therapy, but also reading books. I've done a little video about like some game changing books for me that have really helped me unpack myself. Lots of journaling, lots of reflection, all of those things. And it's gotten me to a point where, and I'm honestly, I'm a pretty stubborn person as well. Like, once I get an idea in my head, like once I decide that I'm going to do something, that's it. Like, I'm going to do it. And it was like, yeah, on some level, when I got back from that trip, I was like, yeah, I don't want to mask anymore as much as I can. Do I still mask? Yeah, I definitely still do mask, but not nearly as much. And now I tell the truth more. Now I just, even just things like, and this is people pleasing as well. I feel like masking and people pleasing are like hand in hand, aren't they? And it's like, I don't let my face filter out how I feel as much anymore. Like, if someone's telling me a story and I don't like something that they've said, or I don't like they're talking to me about the way that a friend treated them, or I feel like they're making a decision that isn't the kindest decision for themselves. And I mean, that's just my opinion. Who knows if that's actually true? But regardless, it's like almost without me knowing, my face isn't hiding how I feel anymore. And in some of my relationships, that's been really nourishing and nurturing. And in some relationships, that's changed the dynamic a bit in those relationships. But it doesn't matter that those changes are happening. Don't mind my little dog. Moji, come here. This is Snoopy wants to jump up. Come on then. Oh, come on then. Oh, this is Mojo. I don't mask around him either. Where was I? My dynamic at work's changed a little bit, but the change has been good because it's come from an authentic place, you know? Yeah, I think any change that comes from you being more yourself, excuse me, being more yourself can only be a good thing, right? So yeah, I think that, yeah, so the lesson really is like try to find as many opportunities as you can to be this unmasked, more authentic version of yourself. You know, like I think a lot about like how do you change your life? Like how do you change your life? And I think I didn't. I was constantly putting effort into trying to better my life, but I didn't know what I was doing. And the biggest take home I would say from this experience has been follow your joy. Like if you don't know what to do, just follow your joy. Follow what feels really good. Follow what feels really connected and authentic, and you'll find your way. Like find the like just experiment. Like go out and just do lots of random things. And honestly, I find like social media very beneficial for that reason. It's like if you get your algorithm right and you like the right videos, you can get like just an unimaginable amount of encouragement and inspiration of like different ideas that you can try, like creative pursuits, like crafty things, outdoorsy things, camping things, fitness things. Like just try things. Let's just like gently explore and try things, and then things that just feel like joyful, like you just feel at peace, yourself, alive. Like just keep doing those things. Those are your guides home. That would be my takeaway from that. And yeah, going on those solo road trips, I just knew like I'd done like little overnight little solo trips before, and that's essentially what I did. Is like I went away, I did like little camping trips alone, and I felt so good with that. I felt so content and at peace and more myself doing that. So I was like, that over time, I just pushed it to slightly longer trips and things like that, to the point where I'm like, oh, now I've realized a big lesson from doing it often enough. I've realized something pretty big about myself. I hope that helps. I hope that's something interesting. I would really love to know about your experiences with masking. Have you masked? What's been your experience? And when do you not mask? When are the situations that have brought up? Um, what are the situations that have helped you to take the mask off? Thanks for watching.